Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we'll be discussing on how to do basic repaints with aviation related papercrafts using vector editing programs. This will be the first video of a series that tackles the activity of doing basic airliner liveries. For this specific video, we'll be talking about the programs that you may use for repainting. This also includes my recommendation for the program that you should use when it comes to that activity. But before we start our discussion about the programs, we must first define some definition of terms that is relevant when it comes to repainting. So our first definition is repainting. So what is it? So repainting in papercraft terms is the act of changing the vectored graphical design of a papercraft template from one design to another. So for example, if you have an ANA Boeing 747-400 template and you want to change it to a Korean Air livery, you remove each and every vectored graphics and design that resembles the ANA livery, and then you add the assets that the Korean Air livery have all in the same template. So basically, it is like a drawing of a square which resembles the template as you can see here, and it has a star inside of it. So we remove that star that is inside the square, and then we replace it with a circle. Now that is what repainting is. Our next definition of term will be vectored graphics. So what is vectored graphics? Vectored graphics is already a rather complex topic to begin with, but in a nutshell, is a graphical element where if we zoom in on a specific object, as you can see here, the vector retains its smooth shape. No matter how much you zoom in on it, it always retains its smooth appearance. Vector graphics allows you to easily edit with some elements. As you can see here, this line is a vectored line, and vector graphics allows you to edit it like this. This is the opposite of rasterized images, where if we zoom in, at some point, the image starts to pixelate. You can see the jagged lines around here. It lost its smooth appearance when it was previously zoomed out, and this will be much more difficult to work with when it comes to repainting. If the template is vectored, repainting will be much more easier as we have vector editing programs specifically designed to deal with the said vectors. So now that we are done with the discussion of a few terms, we will now be proceeding with the programs that you can use for repainting. So our first program that we'll be talking about will be Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop is one of the most popular image editing programs there is for PC. It has many intelligent tools at your disposal. You can do repaints in this program, but you'll end up with a rasterized image in the end. The program has a bit of an issue when it comes to file sizes. There was an instance where one repainted page may go from around 10 to 15 megabytes, which could cause some issues when it comes to optimizations for some computers. The program has a subscription where you need to pay them a monthly fee in order to use the program. However, despite of the shortcomings, Photoshop will be your go-to program if the template that you are working on is not vectorized. So for the pros and cons of working with Photoshop is that for the pros, it has a lot of powerful tools that you can use. It has a wide variety of editing options. So for example, if the livery that you are working on has a gradient on it, you can easily do that with Adobe Photoshop. And it is perfect for non-vectored templates. And for the cons, Adobe Photoshop may be too complex for some users, especially for beginners. It converts exported files to rasterized images, so you won't be able to edit the template as a vectored file. It also has an issue when it comes to large file sizes, and it has a monthly subscription. Moving on to the next program, we have Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator is Adobe's answer to dealing with vector graphics. It is an extremely powerful tool and is used by many professional graphics designers. You can easily draw lines and curves with the program since Adobe Illustrator is specifically designed to do that task. It does not have any issues with large file sizes when it comes to exporting, but it all depends on how detailed the template is. Just like Photoshop, it has a wide variety of tools and options at your disposal. However, it has a rather steep learning curve for some, though it is still possible to learn on how to use the program as a beginner. Another downside is that Adobe Illustrator has a subscription, where you have to pay a monthly fee to use it. So for the pros and cons of using Adobe Illustrator is that for the pros, it is an extremely powerful vector editing program. The file sizes are just right, so you won't have to deal with double-digit file sizes. And it has a wide variety of tools and options. For the cons, Adobe Illustrator has a slightly steep learning curve, but just like what I said earlier, you can still learn on how to use Adobe Illustrator as a beginner. And lastly, Adobe Illustrator has a monthly subscription. Moving on to the next program, we have Inkscape. Inkscape is a free editing program specifically designed for vector graphics, similar to Adobe Illustrator. It is also the program that I use for repainting. It has a lot of tools that you can use, and some of these tools that are provided by Inkscape are straightforward and easy to learn. It is not as powerful as Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, but it is capable enough to do basic to complex liveries depending on your skill level. So that's all for Inkscape, and now we'll be proceeding with the pros and cons. For the pros, Inkscape is easy to learn. It has a wide variety of tools that you can use. The file sizes are just right. And the best of all, Inkscape is free, so you won't have to pay any sort of fees in order to use the program. For the cons, Inkscape is not as powerful as Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. So this would mean that you'll have to manually do some designs that was once easy and fast when you were using Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. So now that we are done with the discussion, I'll now be recommending the programs that you can use for repainting. Between the three programs that I have mentioned earlier, for me, the best editing program that you can use for repainting will be Inkscape. Thanks to its simplistic and intuitive learning curve, it will be a great tool for some to do Airliner liveries. Though you can still use the other two programs, and I'm not stopping you from doing so. However, I'll be focusing directly on the use of Inkscape further on in the video. Okay, before we start delving into the program, we must first install it. You can grab the installer at the link provided in the description below. Here you will obtain the installer once you are done downloading from the official website. So if we click on it, it will prompt a window asking if you want to install the program. So you click on Yes. It will then prompt up the window asking for the language that you want to install the program with. So of course, I'll be selecting with English, okay. And then it will prompt to this. So we select Next, Next, and then it will ask for the options that we can install the program with. So we can already go with Next. Then it will ask for the destination folder on where we want to install the program with. So again, Install, and it will now start to install. Now that the program is installed, we can now begin our proper introduction to Inkscape. So we can click on Finish. Welcome to Inkscape. You are now on your way to doing great repaints of airline liveries from around the world. So this is the interface where you will be working at. This rectangle here represents the page, and anything outside the rectangle will not be seen once you export the file as a PDF. This is where all of your tools are. This is where the options of your tools will appear. So as you can see that when I select a different tool, it will change depending on what tool that I am currently using. Just like that. Similar to Adobe Photoshop, if I want to add a layer, you can go to here, and then you can add a layer, or you can just press Ctrl-Shift-N and add here. This is where page snapping is, and this is where some file-related options can be found. And 9 times out of 10, the Fill and Stroke tab will be available here when you open up Inkscape. This is an important tool for repainting. And if, for example, the tab is not there or you may have accidentally closed the tab, you can go to here on the object and then select here, or you can just press Shift Control F, just like that. If you want to move around the workspace and you don't want to mess with the scroll bars, you can press the space bar just like this, and this will allow you to move around much more easily. You can see here that I am now able to move around. I won't be pressing the scroll bar anytime soon, as this is much more convenient. Before we properly talk about the tools, let us first import a template. So you can go to here and then press import or Control-I. And this will ask you what to select. So I'll just go here. Then it will prompt you to this. It has a lot of options, and this one is really important. If you want to export, for example, page 5, you can just scroll around here or type it at page 3 or something like that. Right here. So let's go back to page 1 and let's press OK. Now the template will begin to import. It will take some time depending on how detailed the template is and how strong your computer is capable of doing so. And here we go, the file is now imported. If, for example, the template is in landscape mode, let's just move it here. Again, if, for example, the template is in landscape mode, you can press Ctrl, Shift, and D, and this will show up here. It also has a lot of options. This will show on what size of paper that you want to work with, but I'll stay with A4. And this here will show if you want the page to be portrait or landscape. So I'll just go with landscape at the moment. And now the page is now landscape. So we can now rotate here. We can rotate the page properly. And there we go. Just like that. Now that the template is imported, there is a high chance that you won't be able to do anything yet. As you can see, I'm clicking anything here, and I am not able to move anything except for the entire template. This is because the entire template is grouped. So in order to edit this, we must right click and then press the ungroup button. Ungrouping may take some time depending on how detailed the template is, but once it is done ungrouping, it will now allow you to edit the template. Just like that, it is now ungrouped, but there may be some instances where after grouping, it will still appear that some segments are grouped together. So all you have to do is just repeat the process. You can also press Ctrl, Shift, and G, and this will make ungrouping much more faster. It is taking a bit of time to ungroup. Okay, there we go. It is now fully ungrouped. You can see that I am now able to move anything here, and this is a massive advantage of vectored files because you can easily move or edit any objects here. This is the opposite of Photoshop or other image editing services where you'll have to deal with the template as an image. If you want to group objects together, for example, you want to move the two pieces together, you will select the two by select here and then Shift, then select Group. Now you can see that you are now able to move the pieces together. When moving around lines, for example here, you might experience some instances where the object will snap to another edge, just like that. This is a really convenient feature if you are moving around the template, but this will also be a massive inconvenience if you are moving some objects around. You can see, for example, I want to snap it around here, but it keeps on moving. So in order to avoid this or get rid of that feature, you can go and select here, click this one, and this will stop the line from snapping to the edge. And if you want to enable it again, click here, and now you can snap it back. If you want to export the file, you can go to here at the file and then save as. And now this will allow you to select on what different file types you want to save the file into. You can select PDF, PNG, JPEG, and SVG. SVG is the primary file type that Inkscape uses. So I'll select PDF, and here we go. Now let's begin our proper discussion about the primary tools that you will be using for your repainting needs. Our first tool will be the Select and Transform right here. You can select it by pressing F1, and just like what you saw earlier, this allows you to move around pieces. Another feature of this tool is that, let me just ungroup this first. Okay, there we go. Is that this tool allows you to resize any object. You can see that I am able to change the shape and the size. But if you want to change the shape according to its proper proportions, you can press Ctrl, and now I can resize the object according to its proper proportion. If you want to rotate the object, you can just click it again, and now you can rotate the object as much as you want. You can also skew the object. If you want to mirror the image or the object, you can go around here and play with these 4 buttons. If you want to flip it vertically, you can press this one. Horizontally, this one. If you want to rotate it clockwise, this one. And then counterclockwise. If you want to delete the object, you can just select it here and then press the delete button. You can also right click, select here, right click, and then press the delete. Just like that. Our next tool will be the Edit Path by Nodes tool, right here, by pressing F2. This tool allows you to edit the vector of the shapes directly. As you can see, when I click here, these tiny objects will pop up. This allows you to interact with the shape, and it allows you to change right here. If you want to play with it, you can go ahead. There. This is also the same for lines. Right here. For example, here, I can play with the lines. You can also add some nodes between the 2 lines. So for example, if you want this line to reach here, you can select the 2 nodes here and then select here. You can see that this one starts up here. You can add more, but I'll stay here, and you can now edit it like this. You cannot add any other nodes if there is another node that is between the 2 of them. There must be a straight and clear line between the 2 nodes in order to add anything else. And if you want to get rid of some nodes, you must first select the nodes that you want to get rid of, and then get rid by pressing here. Now they are gone. If you want a curve using these nodes, you will select here, then press this one. You can see that I am now able to create curves much more easily. And that looks perfect. And just like that, you can see that I am now able to play with the shapes, the lines, and so on. See here. This one here is the ruler. This helps you see the angle and the length of some specific objects as if it was printed in real life. You can see here that this line is around 17.60 centimeters long. If I want to see it in centimeters, I'll go here and then select. Then it now tells me that this is 1.76 centimeters long, and it is negative 5.79 degrees below. Just like that. Our next series of tools will be the shapes and lines tool. This right here. So for this one, this tree here allows you to, except for this one, this allows you to draw specific shapes. Sorry, right here. You can see that I can now draw some specific shapes. Pressing Ctrl allows you to draw a proportional one. This one allows you to draw a polygon or a star. You can also edit how many corners it has. Right here. And yeah, and this is where the fill and stroke tab will come into play. Just like what you saw earlier, you can edit the colors of the object. You can also edit the opacity right here and the blur. You can also add some outlines to it right here, the stroke weight, and now you can see that I can also change the colors of the stroke. Just like that. The next series will be the lines. This one is the freehand. You can draw anything you want with this tool. You can see here. And if you want to change the thickness of the line, you can go to here and then change it here. This is also the same for Bezier curve. I can select here, and this one allows you to draw lines more cleanly because you can just select on where the lines should appear. Just like that, I can press enter and this will now appear. It's the same if you want to change the thickness of the line. You can go to here, and you can also play using the F2 or the edit path by nodes, because this also allows you to add some nodes into it, just like here, and so on. When drawing, you can also add some curves, just like here. And then if you want to add the curves, you can just click and then drag, and it starts forming the curves right here. So here, here, here. And again, if I want to form the lines properly, I can just press enter, just like that. This one, I call this one as the fountain tool because it allows you to draw lines as if you are using a fountain pen. You can edit the width, more specifically here. You can edit the width of the line, like that. You can also get rid of the outline, and just like that. So that will be the end for the series of the shapes and lines. We'll now be proceeding with the text tool. This one here allows you to add any text. This is really important if you want to do some text that is in the livery. For example, the registration and others. You can also change the size of the font and also the font itself. If you type anything here and then press F1, you can change the shape or the size of the text. Control, and here. You can also change the colors of the text. And just like that. you want to rotate, click again, and here we go. So just like that. Our next tool will be the fill tool. This is the most important thing when it comes to repainting, because it allows you to fill in a color, just like that. So let me get a blue color, just like that, and there you go. There may be some instances where white gaps might appear, just like here. You can avoid this by changing the settings of the fill button. Just again here, you can change it here. Let's go 22, and you can see that slowly gets rid of the white gaps when you try to add a color. But it is still unavoidable if a white gap appears here. So you can just move around the nodes with F2, and you can now cover it up. And this is where the layers will come into play. As you can see, the gap right here is now gone, but it slowly covered up the lines here. The lines are part of the fuselage. So in order to raise the line, you'll have to select the line here, right there, and then right click, and then press move to layer. And now you can select what layer you want the line should appear to. So let's go to layer 3. This is the uppermost layer, right there. And you can see that the line appears higher up. It covers the blue paint here. Let's try it also here. Move to layer 3, and there we go. You can see that I can now move the object and it won't cover up the line. Our final tool will be the dropper. So for example, if you are working with a livery and you are not sure on what specific color the livery is, you can grab the reference of the image and then click on here, and you can select what color you want to copy. So for example, let's go with the yellow one here. And now, since I am done copying the color, I can now drop it here. You can see that it is now the same color. I can also draw shapes, and right here, just like that. So that will be all for our first introduction about Inkscape. There may be some options or tools that I didn't talk about, where we may discuss about it in future videos, or I will allow you to discover them by playing around with the program. Our next video will tackle on how to line up the fuselage of a Papercraft template so we can begin the proper repainting process. So I hope that all of you learned something from this video, and don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to show your support. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again in the next video.